Hello everybody, welcome to the channel if you are new, and welcome back if you are already a subscriber. In today's video I am going to be going through my planner flip throughs and my finished spreads for April of 2024. Right off the cuff, I just want to say my nails look horrible. I need to give them some TLC. I've been using darker nail polishes recently and gardening, so they look like crap, so I'm really sorry. But other than that, we're gonna go ahead and dive right on into these spreads. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this guy. This is actually my budget planner, so this is typically where I'm gonna track my balances for the month, the bills that I've paid, any expenses, things of that nature. Full admittance, April was not a strong month in terms of tracking. Just life got in the way, and I'll be honest with you, May is not looking much better, but I'm slowly putting the wheels back on the bus and we're moving forward. So I'm hoping that June's going to look a little bit stronger, and I'm a little bit more optimistic that I'm going to be able to get to some things. I've also been really encouraged by the fact that I'm actually all the way up to date on my Hobonichi, which has really kind of been unheard of for about a month and a half. So pretty stoked about that. So I have higher hopes for June for sure. But I ended up not logging all of my balances with my cards and things like that. Obviously, I got everything checked off the list. I did really good with recording for like the first 2 weeks. I'm so sorry about the traffic. I did really good with recording for the first 2 weeks, and then I started to kind of fall off a little bit. So I'm not even really sure that this third week is accurate. And then I did actually make some notes, so I came in a little bit under. I've just become a little bit more resourceful these days, so I goal to keep it under 150 or at 150. And then at the end of the month, or at the end of the week, totaling it up. And a week is not 7 days. I count every 8 days just to have it be a little bit more even, because there's usually 30 or 31 days. So it means it's a little bit more of an even split. But this method seems to work for me really well when I'm tracking, and I've seen a lot of progress recently with getting back to this theory. I've fallen off a little bit in the last week or so. I know I've kind of hinted at this in several videos, but we actually had a new hire and I've had some personal stuff going on. So it's just been a little bit hard to stay really consistent and granular with all of the planners. So I'm really just doing what I can when I can. So right now my main focus is trying to just keep my workout somewhat on course and making sure that my Hobonichi daily page is done every single day so that I don't have a big backlog of that to work on. And that seems to be attainable. And if I can get more done, cool. If I don't, that's okay too. But those are just kind of like my main anchors every day. So I did fall off a little bit in April. And like I said, I'm not really doing super great for May. It's a little bit better, but I do have high hopes for June. But other than that, there's really nothing that happens in this planner right now. I do want to continue to grow and change and evolve with my budget planning, and I really do think that having something really simple like this, it was just a simple traveler's notebook that I had in my stash with a free insert it came with, and I've just put in little things along and along, but I'm hoping that I can kind of recommit to this at the halfway point of the year, obviously. Well, almost halfway point. From there, we're gonna move on to my Hobonichi weeks. So my Hobonichi weeks is where I track anything health and fitness related. So like I said, I was not doing particularly well in April. And another thing that's been kind of happening and that I've been hinting to is that I love how colorful this is. Some things that I figured out were not working were also having a million trackers at this time, that everything kind of like derailed. So it got really, really hard. But some things that I do like, I do love that I wrote down the accompanying Tombow colors that I really wanted to use for that spread that would match the washi, so that if people wanted to know, they would know. So like this one is 553, 620, and 243 that I thought were some really good color matches. And then inside each of these little sections, like, and you can see that this is like off center really bad. So it was doing okay with tracking my temperature the first week. I had sinus headaches. It actually was a little crazy. My sinuses have been flared up since I got back from New Orleans. Kind of in the first week or so of February is when we got back, and my sinuses just never really recovered, and I was pretty sure I had a full-blown sinus infection at one point, and then it was affecting my sinuses so bad that it got into my teeth, which made things really painful, and I really was worried that I had like a major dental issue. And as soon as I did some research and then took some like bigger steps to combat the sinuses, it completely went away, which was wild. But I did kind of record that, obviously recording any workouts that were happening at the time. I've got my cycle and my intimacy. And then I was doing okay on my habit trackers. I do like having a little habit tracker here every now and again. And I think that as planners, we kind of ebb and flow with what we can handle at different points in the year, with our lives, with things going on. And usually habit trackers are the biggest thing to fall off for me. That's like the first thing to really kind of go. I can usually go back and, do some retroactive planning, but it's not always the easiest to remember the daily tasks or, things like that. I also had a theme of doing artists in April. So I used a different artist washi or artist inspired washi from Coffee Monster Co. for each week. So this one is for Van Gogh, and I used 062, 243, and 526. This is where we start seeing things drop off a little bit. I do love the layout. Unfortunately, it just is not enough space. I needed kind of more of an open plan, but I've been trying a completely wide open plan in May, and that's not working either. So that's been slightly problematic. I do feel like there needs to be a little bit of structure. So still kind of fine tuning what's gonna work. Then we have April 15th through the 21st. I used 992, 526, and 243. Really loving 243. It's like this really pretty mint color. And I actually doubled it up so that it was a little bit darker. That's another fun thing about Tombows that I forget quite often, is that they can be layered to have like that deeper tone. And I, logged a workout, but this is kind of when things start getting really crazy. So there's literally nothing by the last week of April. We were just surviving. I do like this layout. I don't dislike any of the layouts I created. I do think that it was just not enough space in general for the things that I normally track. So I'm normally tracking trying to track my temperature, my cycle, my intimacy, any workouts I do, any symptoms I might have through the day, like if I have a headache or stuff like that. So I still haven't quite worked out the kinks of that. I may try to create some kind of layout like this, because I always felt like this had enough room, but I also might try to separate this out. I've seen a couple different versions that I may try until I get the right fit. So we've got a new month to give it a go. I think the last spread is this one right here, which literally has nothing on it, just the washi of where I was kind of getting into May and had a Star Wars theme, of course, because the last few days of April, but then straight into May, and May the 4th be with you, and Revenge of the 6th. So definitely wanted to throw down some Star Wars washi, but unfortunately didn't record anything that week. And like I said, by May, I decided I really wanted like an open floor plan basically to play with. So that is it in terms of the Hobonichi weeks / health fitness tracker thing. And then moving on to the big guy. So I am super excited to flip this with you guys and kind of talk through a little bit of what's been going on, because this is really when it got crazy. As you can see, I am actually recording this pretty late into May. Let me make sure we're centered here. I am just now at the point where I have finished the spreads and everything is wrapped up. And like I said, I'm really jazzed because I should be able to get the May one out a lot quicker, because I am actually all the way caught up. I think I might be like a page or two behind, meaning like yesterday's and working on today's. So nothing that can't be caught up up pretty quickly. My next endeavor is going to be to start working on the Hobonichi 5 years so that we can go through those flips together. You'll also notice that my savings tracker is all the way updated into about like 2/3 of the way through June, which is making me super excited that I'm ahead on my savings tracker as well. In terms of actual tracking that went on this month, I think I did really quite okay, all things considered. My trackers have definitely looked better in the past, and I'll agree to that. I definitely stayed pretty consistent with workouts. I kind of fell off there towards the end of the month. The calorie deficit got no love. My steps were pretty good. I mark it off if I hit 12, and then I put a little dot if I hit 10. So we're seeing that, I'm definitely not doing so great in May with that, but April was still pretty okay. My water was pretty good. Reading was still really good. It's like here in this back half and into May where we really start to see that big slump of just trying to get through the days, basically. Like, I just needed to muscle through the days. And again, if I could get my daily page done, keep the daily spreads or the weekly spread updated, and then also get a workout in and hit my steps, and I was feeling kind of accomplished. Anything else I could add on, I was counting as a bonus at that point. So I really don't have a ton to say on the trackers. I've even quite honestly considered abandoning them in the back half of the year. It's been a long time since I've not had any trackers to speak of, but I think what would do me a lot of good is to eliminate that many, having so many, and really just try to use a lot of the tools that I have, which are these kind of little small weekly trackers. And I've even seen Helen recently have a tracker, and she's not the biggest fan of trackers either, but I've always really loved them, and I've always treated them kind of as more of a tool to see how often something's happening, not necessarily to hold me accountable to 100%. So that's always been my mentality, but I feel like I'm at a season in my life where it would serve me better to maybe have 3 things that I focus on. Maybe it's steps and a workout and reading. Maybe it's French and finally working on that. Maybe it's working on my custom. Maybe it's making sure I give 10 minutes a day to some of the larger projects that need tidying around the house. But I feel like it would do me good to kind of break it down to maybe half of the amount of trackers that I have. So we'll see how I feel about that at the end of June and how we head into this tracker page I don't know, you can do a lot of things with this page, but I'd really like to see what I do with this and maybe try something a little bit different. Maybe I utilize it similar to how the yearly page looks here. Maybe I try to do a weight tracker and a workout tracker, and I create a key. I've seen several people like Lindsay Scribbles and Helen does something similar with Coffee Monster Co. So I really want to start brainstorming and trying some different things in the back half of the year, just to try something different and kind of get the mojo back. So flipping over to the monthly spread, which is where I track any of my content posts. So if I post to Instagram or Facebook, Coffee Monster Co. group, or YouTube, as you can see, we were doing kind of okay. And then we just weren't after that. So I was only a day late on this particular week, but this is where I kind of start to miss things a little bit again. Unfortunately, I do very much plan to go back and figure out any and all videos that have been missed, a count, so that I can get that content back out, because I do like to feel like even if I was late, that you guys still kind of got a 2 video a week ratio. So there might be some bonus videos. Right now I'm just trying to get back onto my normal schedule of Wednesdays and Fridays, or Wednesdays, why did I say Wednesdays and Fridays? Wednesdays and Sundays, and trying to keep Wednesdays planner content and Sundays more haul videos, more kind of paper crafty. So that's where the Hobonichi 5 year flip would be. That's where Project Life videos will be, haul videos, that kind of fun stuff is going to be over there. And then that way planner peeps can keep Wednesdays to just power through that hump day struggle. My cleaning list, definitely could have gotten some more love. I was really focused on trying to get patio stuff done and getting the garden set up. My bathroom really needed some love, so that got done. And I'm always kind of constantly vacuuming and up to date with laundry and cleaning countertops. So some of these were done, but just not to what I believe they're done. Like for me to say fridge, I literally mean like I've wiped every shelf, deep cleaned it, and kind of purged it as well, which I really try to do monthly. Same thing with like things where it says spice drawers or pantry or anything like that. It's more of an in-depth cleaning, not necessarily like a quick cosmetic wipe down. Just to kind of clarify a little bit. Then hopping into the weekly spreads, I am quite pleased with how some of these turned out. I'm not gonna lie. So this is one of my favorites. This was the week that I did Monet. I was really bummed though, because I had full intentions to also try to consume content that was themed to the artist, and I was really struggling, and I even put it out in the group at one point, like if anybody had any suggestions, and I didn't get anything back. So I was really struggling to find something. I particularly love this spread because I love that I used my Uniball Signo inks. I actually have these out on my desk, so I can tell you what colors. So Plum Purple was the purple, and it was Anything Personal. And then I used the Nemophilia blue, which I quite liked. So I really liked those. Some other fun things that I love about this week is I was starting at the end of, was I doing it in March? Let me see. No. So April was the first month that I started doing this. I started finding stickers in my stash that were not Coffee Monster. I mean, they're always out and about. I have tons of stickers everywhere, but I started diving back into my sticker books and trying to find stickers that were applicable to the tasks, just like I do with the emoji stickers, just to kind of create a little variety. And I really like how it turned out. And I was even able to find like these like mint colored stickers that I think went really well with it too. I also am taking a break from my Tombows, and I quite like how clean this looks in terms of handwriting. I just really love these colors. I think they're some of my favorite colors that I have in my stash. So some fun things that were happening was we had burger night at Justin's. They actually, it was quite funny because they were camping, Justin and Owen were camping, and then there was like all these tornado warnings and stuff, so they came back early, and we were planning, Jeff and I were planning to go feed the dogs for them and grill burgers at their house, and just kind of sit with the dogs for a while, let them run around the backyard. And then obviously Justin and Owen were coming home early, and we just decided to double up the hamburger supplies and still do hamburger night at their house. So it worked out just fine, which was quite fun. I think this is the first time I also get to use tiny icons, which is nice. And then I also went and saw a movie with my mom. My mom and I went to see Gone with the Wind in an actual theater for the 85th anniversary, and it's a 4-hour movie. So it took up a good chunk of the day, and I was completely exhausted after that. And so I came home and just crashed really hard. Another fun thing was Jeff got his tractor and I got to drive it, and that was really nice. So that was a fun little afternoon too. Again, the next week continues the artist series. So I've got the Van Gogh tape this particular week, some things that were happening that I really wanted to give some attention to that I loved. I started watching Mandalorian season 2, so I'm kind of back on the Star Wars streak in this particular time period. I started lots of seeds and started planting some of the starter seedlings that, had started to sprout. And we had a dinner planned with some kind of, I don't know, I'm not going to say coworker, but coworker adjacent. So Jeff did business with another company. They were like suppliers, and one particular person left that company, and Jeff and him had a great rapport, so they planned up a little dinner, and he was going to bring his wife, and then at the last minute it got canceled, unfortunately, due to personal things on their end. But what was just completely awful, oh my god, it was so awful, I was 100% ready to entertain for the night, and then the next morning I really wanted to have just kind of like a slow morning and then get home at a decent hour. And unfortunately, I decided I was just not going to bring any of my toys, as I call them, because I call my planners and my stickers my toys, and I, have my backpacks and my tote bags, but I was like, there's no point in hauling it out there because I'm not going to be able to mess with it. And then I got, almost 2/3 of the way there and found out that they weren't coming. So I had literally had nothing to play with, and I'm at his house now, and it makes no point to turn around. We already had food there. So it was quite a pivot, and it was a little awkward for us not to each have our hobbies, but it proved to be a good thing, and we spent a good amount of time outside and continued watching Fallout, which is what we were watching. So I think that was great, and I planted my strawberries the next day. I do love this color combo. These are, I should have a good number of these on my desk. I'm not going to have names for these because they're just pretty generic, but I do know that it was these two. So I don't know what the name of these are, but they're Uniball Signo DXs. If you go on jetpens.com, you can see all of the colors. And these are 0.38. That's usually the point or size, the tip size. That's what I'm not sure what I want to call that. But I'm also continuing to use stickers from other sticker books, and I really have enjoyed this for one, I'm using my stash and using my stickers, which is great, and it's allowing my emoji stickers to last longer, which is always great too. But it's letting me pull out these foil details, and I'm not a big foil sticker person, so this is helping me actually use my foiled stickers, which is great. Especially all these like little workout ones have been really helpful. The next week was Hokusai, and I love the color choices. These are Sarasa vintage colors. I don't know that I have them in front of me. Let's check my little pin pouch. I know I use this one for Da Vinci. I do think these are actually in my pouch. And of course, I don't have the name of them either. I want to say I got them off Amazon though. But there's 2 different packs that you can get, and I think they're lovely colors. Now these are 0.5 instead of the 0.38, but I really didn't mind. I think my favorite is probably this kind of like denim blue type of color. I've really enjoyed that one, and been using it for some other spreads. And we'll get to it. I have loved being able to use this washi for something else as well, as I watched a show. That was really quite fun. I loved also finding stickers that went with the color themes. I did think it was interesting that it was a Hokusai week and I made egg roll in a bowl, so I got to use that sticker, and it felt very appropriate in a lot of ways. But again, all these weeks, I never watched any content that actually had to do with the artist like I did last year. I did like bringing back the banners. That was really fun. I've seen Helen use those before. I think that they're really great to help work pop. I do love that I've been doing this whole colored ink thing as well, just to take a break. I think it adds such a fun change in the planner. So I'm really still quite in the phase of enjoying colored inks. I am also trying to, I think, when was Godlewski? I think it was right here. That things started to get a little bit crazy. Yes, that is exactly when they got crazy, because I see emergency pasta and Gideon's, and that was it. That was the day that it started to get real wild, and things started to kind of topple down a bit. I was like, coffee and Fallout. I was like, goodness gracious. As far as this week goes, I really don't think I have anything much to say. I even got into some Happy Planner books to find some Happy Planner stickers. This has a blue holographic-y foil, so I chose to try to use things that didn't have foil this whole week, unlike the previous 2 weeks. I don't think I have anything here, but other than using that gold foil accent point. And then the very last week is a little weird. So I have an entire plan with me video on this. I think this is my least favorite spread because to me, it feels really messy. I really wish that I had just used the burgundy color the whole way through. I officially want to throw out this. I don't even have it on my desk. I might have thrown it out already. It's a 07 gray Pilot G2 pen, and it's just too big of a point for me. I just don't care for it. And because this was week in the life, instead of doing my normal to-do list and checking things off, I just recorded kind of what was happening, and I just don't like it. It didn't work for me. I wasn't doing a really great job with tracking across the board. Some fun things that did happen this particular week, though, is that I officially planned Halloween Horror Nights, which was really fun. I watched Cyrano, which was a very surprise. I did not know it was a musical when I started it, and I think it turned out really well, and I really liked it. I started watching Dead Boys Detectives. My lavender sprouted. I did my first longer run in a long time. Some funny things that happened were that I drove home without any coffee in my system, and I also made red beans, which was a really fun thing. It was the first time making red beans. I ordered my first Paper Haunts order, and I want to say, I don't know where it is, but I feel like I had to have ordered my first doll. There it is. I know it was a browse in here, but I might have actually purchased that day some Dolls Kill items for Halloween Horror Nights. So it was full halfway to Halloween mode this particular week. And then I know that this is kind of a lap over and that we will see this again in the May flip through, so I'm not going to talk about this spread too much. I really don't love it because I wish that I had just done the whole thing in blue. Personally, I think it would have been a lot prettier than trying to do the blue and black. To me, it looks very empty. I started to do my washi at the bottom again, which I really do like because at the top it really just kind of takes out my morning, and I'm up really early. I'm up about 5 every day, and I drink my coffee and I make my to-do list, and then I'm off to the races. So having those hours to write down things that are happening are kind of important to me. Just kind of talking about the end of April anyway. A cool thing that happened this particular Monday was I officially moved my whole desk contents to my new office, which is really what made the week before kind of special because it was the last week that I was going to be at my desk that I had at the time, because part of the new hire situation is me basically getting a promotion, which is really wonderful and feels very nice to take a step forward after all the work that I had accomplished to get there and just finally kind of getting there. But there's still quite a phase of transition and settling that we're going through with that. And then the very last day of April, I was supposed to have off to take a break before our new hire started on the 2nd. And lo and behold, I spent 12 hours in the ER with my mother. We'll talk about that more when we get to the actual daily spread, but my mom is fine. I've said a little bit in some videos here and there, just apologizing for late deliveries on videos because I had very lofty intentions to film a lot that day. It was it was funny because my paper haunt order got here the night before. I promptly filmed it the next morning. So I had gone down to the gym, filmed the video, and was starting to post it and go to get in the shower. And while it was uploading, I was going to be in the shower, and I got a text message from my stepdad that my mom was being rushed to the ER. She was actually at another doctor's office to get a colonoscopy that had been scheduled, and she had been prepping for days, and they found out that they could not proceed because her heart rate was at a 33. And obviously that is not great. What made it even crazier, she was asymptomatic. I said I wasn't going to talk about this until we got to the daily page, but here we are. But she was asymptomatic and literally completely fine. When I got to the hospital, it was so bizarre. She was totally herself, completely normal. It was very wild, but they promptly scheduled her for a surgery that afternoon to have a pacemaker installed. She has healed wonderfully. Everything is going fine. So I couldn't be happier that, everything was caught. It was quite scary. My father passed away from heart issues when I was 13 years old. So it was a very scary thing to be there with her, very unexpectedly dealing with heart health issues that I just did not expect. So, and that she didn't expect. So it was just a really crazy day, but I was glad that I got to be there with her and have great dialogue with doctors, and that her team was really great. So that was definitely not how I planned to finish out April, but that was how I finished out April nonetheless. So we're going to move into the daily pages, and we'll touch back on all that again. So first day of April. So I was starting off that week with Monet, and I think what I was even thinking about doing, and I'm not completely opposed to this, but I want to try using that week's washi a little bit more in those daily spreads just to have a little bit of continuity. I mean, obviously, if I have a different theme for that day, I'm going to run with it, but, just to continue to play with those washi colors and use my supplies. Just kind of looking at things across the board. It looks like it was a very long day. Not 100% sure why, but I had a workout. I don't love that random purple spot. I even thought about when I was doing the flip to make sure everything was good to go. I was like, can I white that out and do it in a different color? But I was like, just leave it. It's fine. Learning curve. Looks like I found some really fun treats that I finally tried. So Cinnamon Toast Waffles, the regular Eggo, it's just a nostalgic thing, and I had been craving them for months. But I made myself finish the frozen waffles that I had. Again, I'm trying to be a little bit more utilitarian and eat all the parts of the buffalo, and don't buy something new until you finish the old kind of mentality, just responsibility and just scaling back a little bit. And so I had basically finally earned my Cinnamon Toast Waffles, which was fun. I tried a snack mix from Target. I absolutely love their funky, weird trail mixes that they come out with. And I love trying them and rating them and deciding, what's good enough for me to buy a second bag of or buy next year. But the Galaxy Adventure I had wanted for a while because it kind of had a cake batter thing, and I love me a birthday cake themed anything. Not a fan. So I ended up giving them to Dan to give to the kids because I was like, this is disgusting. I don't like it. The Marshmallow Sky ice cream, I said it was a 4 out of 5. To me, I wanted it to have globs of marshmallow, like fish food does from Ben & Jerry's. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, continue on with your life. I will tell you, if you are a fan of fish food and you want the globs, I just bought the peanut butter s'more to try. Run, do not walk for that one. That one was good. It needs more graham crackers, at least on my first tasting. Needs more graham crackers, personally. Just throwing that out there. I don't love this spread because I have noticed this with the Uniball Signo or the Uniball ones. sometimes you kind of have to prime them a little bit. Like they kind of need a bit of going, and this is the black version of this, and even though it's a 0.38, look how much thicker it looks compared to the Uniball Signos. It's crazy. This was the burger night that I was talking about with Justin and just kind of talking through that. This was what I was planning to do for content, cleaning, and workouts for Wednesday through Sunday. So I just kind of broke down each category and like what I wanted to do each of those days. And I really like when I do that, when I kind of create a week-long plan. I don't like doing it in my daily spread because things have to be pretty fluid a lot of the time, but I love doing like little batches of like maybe 3 or 4 days instead of the whole week. I think it looks really, really nice, and it kind of gives me some direction and some checkpoints to hit. You'll see a couple things like that throughout the daily flips. This is back to my traditional long to-do list. Talk a little bit about my workout. Anytime I modify a workout, I always try to write it down somewhere. Like if it came out of a workbook or if it came off of a Pinterest post or anything like that I've got saved to my favorites. I still try to make notes if there are adjustments. It looks like it was a productive day, which is great. And then I was all caught up with Succession's extra, and Jen and I were getting ready to start season 3, I believe. This day I used a Smooth Shop sticker washi. I think she's currently still got the shop shut down. I would just suggest you follow her or follow her shop so that you get an alert when she's back open, because I feel like I miss every time she's available or open. I wish it had showed up a little bit more purple, and maybe I'll go back and fill it in with a little bit more of a purple marker. But I got 2 different crumble cookies to try this day for a client that was coming by who also loves crumble. And so I got 2 and then split them down the middle so we could each try half. We tried the key lime pie and the oatmeal skillet. I was not like a knockdown drag out fan of either. I really like that they're testing new cookies and things like that, or like pies and the cakes and stuff. I think those are really fun. But sometimes I'm just not in the mood for their craziness. It looks like there was a lot of driving this particular day. Reading it, I'm like, what happened? So I think I was planning to be remote from his house for a little bit and then go home, and then he got about 30 minutes down the road and his truck was not doing great. So I went to meet him at the repair shop because he was able to get it to the repair shop, and then drive him back home to get the other truck for him to leave to go to work. So it was a little bit hectic that morning. And then it looks like I was slowly continuing my Lord of the Rings rewatch. So at this point I was done with Fellowship of the Ring and just trying to watch Fellowship of the Ring. And I chose, of course, to watch the extended edition. Looks like I was struggling to get into a productivity groove this day as well. Saturday continued watching Lord of the Rings, did a workout, looks like it was lighter exercise, and then I went out to Jeff's and we had a semi-relaxed and productive day at the Ungalow, and just kind of enjoyed the afternoon. I believe so this is when I went over and I got to drive his tractor and I made a stroganoff, and it was just really quite a nice summer day. It was I'm very much in my overalls era, so I have 3 pairs of overalls now. I've gotten my denim ones this year. I have a really cute linen pair. I actually think I have 4 if we want to count a shorts pair I have. So I'm definitely living my overall life, which I quite enjoy and think that they're adorable. And then this whole marked out section, I obviously doing retroactive planning and documenting, I can sometimes muddle up some things because I do kind of follow the same cookie cutter pattern for the most part. Like I usually try to be home on Sunday nights. I usually try to go out to Jeff's house at least like one weekday, and then I'm usually out there Friday and or Saturday night. So, it just got a little muddy because like 2 weekends almost directly mirrored each other, and I just kind of messed up. So I just had to mark some stuff out, and that happens on another page too, I think. So this is when I got home. I realized my spinach had started. So there were quite a few plants, and spinach was one of them, where I could not start them in my little indoor grow starting kit. I don't know what you call them actually, where it has like the light, and it's not hydroponics, that's not right either. But like my little grow kit where you put the lid on the top and you start your seeds in it basically. But there were some seeds that you shouldn't start that way. So carrots, squash, spinach, I think were my main ones, my only ones maybe that didn't get started somehow. Obviously my raspberries and my strawberries, they were roots, so they went outdoors pretty easy, and then everything else got started indoors. But my spinach had officially started to sprout, which was really fun to come home and see. And then I talk about doing Gone with the Wind with my mom and just kind of how fun that was, and then just completely crashing out when I got home. I love that I found these old like movie looking stickers, and that there was like kind of more of an old fashioned popcorn for an old fashioned movie. So I think that was really great. This was when the solar eclipse happened. So I just took a bunch of notes off Modern Mystic to talk about the eclipse. I also love that it was in Aries because that is my sign. I'm a March 21st birthday. So that was really fun. And then, like I said, I just kind of took the notes, and then there was a question of what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? How would it change people's lives for the better? And it was just kind of like a little thought around the eclipse and just like the energy coming off of that. April had a full day of the final candidates and interviews, and so I kind of talked about that, which was funny because the person that we ended up hiring happened to be the person that let me borrow her eclipse glasses. So I actually got to see the eclipse because she had a pair, which was so cool. And Jeff was remote, so I actually called him and reminded him to go outside, and I just kind of talked about what the eclipse looked like. I do know some people that got to see the full totality. Let me know in the comments how you recorded the eclipse and where you were if you got to see it. Then we've got a healthy dinner, it looks like, and I actually seasoned my sweet potatoes and golden potatoes to be savory. So normally I'll do like a cinnamon brown sugar type of thing with sweet potatoes, more of like a sweet thing. And I do the same thing with carrots, but I've been trying to do more like sheet pan meals or things that are a little bit easier on those nights. So that actually worked out really well and was really tasty. I think we watched kind of something Unsolved Mystery this day. And I really just kind of went on a super big rant about what was happening at work with all of the interview drama. It was too much. It was too much. It was being overcomplicated. I do like this page just for the little bright kind of kiwi color pop. I dug into some old sticker stashes across the board because I started rewatching Mandalorian. I've got my workout notes, and then I had this cute little carrot. My carrots had started, so very much like the spinach. I was just really excited to see that the things that I had like bare planted in there, basically like just hope and faith. We're just gonna stick it down in there and hope for the best. And then I also started my a friend of mine, Katie, needed some seeds. She wanted some starters done. She wanted me to do both of the tomatoes I had and some basil, and then she was gonna start some herbs for me, which was really sweet of her. I need to reach out to her because I kind of think I killed my sourdough starter. Like I feel like I killed my Tamagotchi pet or something. So we're going to have to work on that. And then the next day, it looks like I did some cleaning. I don't think I was remote. No, it was a long day at the office. And her last appointment was supposed to be a phone call, and they accidentally came in. So it meant I left later. So it was really chaotic. And then I drove straight to Jeff's. And that's all I have to say about that. I don't know what else was happening. I don't know why. It looks very like short as far as an entry goes. Friday I was remote and I was starting to prep for the guests that I talked about earlier that we were supposed to do the dinner party with. So I made my second batch of lemon bars. So these are all the little labels. So I used 5 in this batch, and the last one I only used 3. I very much underestimated how much lemon you need, like how many lemons you need for 1 cup of lemon juice. Even 5 was like just shy of enough, and so I cut it with a little bit of water, which was fine. And I'm actually hoping to try a version of this with limoncello in it, so I'll let you guys know how that goes. But I love the washi that I used, and just kind of like the little brightness. And then I prepped some mac and cheese sauce. I did my first run in a while. Not a very long one, just 30 minutes, just to kind of see how I would do and how my hip would do. I had a workout the next morning, and then just kind of talked about having a productive morning, and then the whole plot twist situation. And then I love this washi so much because it reminds me of like just a really nice spring day. And that's, really what we got, is we just got to sit outside and enjoy a just really lovely spring day. And we walked over to his neighbor's garden to give them some lemon bars, because obviously I had a ton, because I obviously planned to send them home with some, as well as to enjoy them through the evening. So we just started giving lemon bars away, and we talked about gardening for a long time, which was nice. And then the next day, it was really just kind of a cozy start. And then I headed home, tried to run some errands, mainly just like some returns and grocery shopping. But I ended up finding a dress for a friend of mine who is getting married later in the summer. I wanted something that was a little bit more summer outdoor appropriate. A lot of the dresses I have just have more of a fall tone to them, because that's just kind of my aesthetic that I like. But I just wanted something a little bit more springy, summery for his wedding. And then I planted my strawberries finally, because I had all the buckets. Actually, I take that back. I had to order more buckets, but also my mom came by, which was kind of expected and kind of not. So by the time I did get home, she literally was right behind me. And then by the time she left, I was like, okay, I'm not accomplishing anything. I may as well hit some low-hanging fruit and go. I really like this spread because it was a brain dump, and I don't do them very often, but it was really helpful to just make a big long list of all the things that I really wanted to do, or not wanted to, but needed to do, that were floating around in my head. And then I tried to, again, do that method of breaking things up into bite-sized chunks. And normally I don't do this unless I'm getting ready for a trip or something where I have a lot of things to do and I have a solid end date. But I've also been finding that it's really helpful for me to do this when I'm feeling overwhelmed or I have a lot going on. Like a bunch of content to film, I'm trying to follow a workout plan, I might be trying to hit, reading pages, and it really helped for me to do that, and I really quite liked it. Next, I don't love this spread at all. I don't know. It just doesn't look like my normal spreads. I feel like it's just clunky. I'm just trying to see kind of what happened through the day. I really just don't love the spread, so there's that. And then I kind of like made a list for Wednesday down at the bottom, which I don't entirely dislike. I do kind of like this where it's like garden test, content, other. I did quite like that, but the rest of it I really just wasn't a fan of. This is using, again, some older sticker books. I've really been trying to dive into those a little bit better. This is where I start doing the hourglass workout. I didn't color this in like I want to because it looks terrible. Like, it actually makes no sense because it's like not skinny enough to show the one drop. I don't know. It's just not my best sketch. But I did have a really good workout, and I liked how I recorded everything this day. It's complete polar opposite of here. But I love kind of having the garden section, any notes about what was happening. So my second squash popped up, the jalapeno seedlings, the third one that I finally started. I still didn't have lavender, but stay tuned, or time. 12 hours. I adjusted the timer to 12 hours, and Katie's seeds were starting to sprout and get ready. Had some tasks there. I found wood wasps in the garden, which was not fun. So I had to spray to keep them away from eating my raised bed because it's wooden. Like I said, had a great workout, made some to-do lists. Jeff and I continued watching Fallout. And even though I never have played the game, I really did enjoy the show. I was on the struggle bus. Why was I on the struggle bus? No one slept well. I was hot and uncomfortable. I was worried about things. I don't know why. We finally got up around 4 a.m. and made coffee and watched an episode of Fallout. Interesting. Okay. That was weird, especially for a Thursday. And then I worked out, finished The Mandalorian season 2, and started working on the extras content. I really I feel like it was a little political and a little, I don't know. I feel like political is not the right word. I feel like it really tried to address that your thought processes are most often shaped by the environment in which you're raised in or around. And I think there's a line, something about what people on Alderaan believed were different than what people on another planet believed, because they were kind of on opposing sides. And it was from the context of it depends on what side of the fence you're on and how you're seeing it. And it just kind of encouraged you to open up your mind a little bit to that side may not be bad. They just have a different way of thinking and a different treatment that they've received or a different upbringing that they've received. So it's important to just kind of pause and be more understanding. And so I thought it was really interesting to address things in our current world, and just kind of digesting a way to, I'm a very big supporter in trying to make things digestible. And I feel like, especially as a show that parents and kids are watching, I don't feel like it was too heavy, but I feel like it was something that proved to go, oh, okay, it should anyway, prompt people to, have a second look at maybe any arguments that you might be having or hills that you want to die on, that, you still keep an open mind and look for those areas of opportunity to have a discourse about something rather than having a disagreement about something. And then the next day was quite wild. We just had some very unexpected news that really just kind of rocked us personally. And it really did just full tilt change everything. And it wasn't something that we could talk about with anybody else. And it was a very small nucleus of people that knew. And when I say really small nucleus, I literally mean 4 people, and then it became I think about 6 by the end of the day or something like that. Maybe up to 10 involving some aspects of it, but it was still very, very small and private thing, and is kind of still staying that way. So I was really careful about kind of how I wrote about it and talked about it. Obviously this started to spill over into Saturday, and I was just really trying to unpack everything and understand it and be really supportive, and still kind of get through things in my own way. So I really feel like it's important that if you're going to be support for anyone and everyone, and I've talked about this before, that you try to fill up your cup when you can, because you can't pour from an empty cup, but you can't even pour from a halfway cup. You need that cup to be overflowing so that you can give the best of yourself. And I feel like that's really where I started to struggle in this back half, was trying to make sure that I was able to be as supportive as I could to the people involved, but also not go down either, and like I needed to be a source of comfort and reliability and structure and strength, and to do that I really had to take the minimal alone time that I had to take a breath. And this is why it was so important for me to make sure that I worked on, this is where I kind of started to be like, I need to work on the planner, and this was something small that I could work on every day to some capacity to just stay sane and have a creative outlet and just take a breath and a step back from the day. On Sunday, I started making my first batch of red beans. So I wrote down a rough recipe, some facts like that they're cooked on Monday, which is wash day traditionally. And the same coals would often be used to heat the wash water. So it didn't have to be washed or watched either. Like red beans are very like set it, forget it, which is really cool. I actually overnight crock potted them. So Saturday into Sunday, actually, no, I started Sunday morning and let them soak for like 10-12 hours, and then started on the crock pot that evening, and they went for 8 hours overnight. I did make some notes to add some more andouille into tribe with a ham hock in my second batch. I think that they turned out really good, but I definitely could be better. I kind of tried to do the Helen method of a floral. I wish I had done the red out a little bit more, but otherwise I think it's okay. It's not the worst. The next day, I actually heard a quote. Was it a quote, or where did I hear it from now? It might have shown up on my Instagram. Like it might have been like Moon Omens or something like that. And it said, life is a balance between holding on and letting go. And I felt like that was really pertinent for kind of what was going on at the time. And we were all kind of in a mental headspace of that. Like, what were we holding on to? What were we letting go of? You're really trying to pick and choose what you need to do to A, get through the day, B, survive the event. Like it was really just a lot of that. It was, really having to make, tough choices in some cases, or really dumb things down and just be like, I can't do that right now, and move on, and just try to keep putting one foot in front of the other. But I thought that was really pertinent. I didn't have a lot of work going on, thankfully, this particular week. This was also the last week before Jen came back from surgery, who was my coworker, and she was out for 2 weeks. So that was kind of going on as well. I talk a little bit about how many people were fed by the red beans. So literally I was able to give red beans to my coworker who had the surgery, to April, who was my boss, to Justin, which is Jeff's brother, to Senior, obviously his father. It fed us, and then I was able to put a batch in the freezer for a future meal as well. And then we just kind of had like a casual evening that night. The next day, as part of my sanity welfare check and trying to keep my cup full, I started actually researching Halloween Horror Nights packages, and this also started Week in the Life. So that was what made everything, to me, I've always seemed to have that luck where, Week in the Life and Day in the Life are supposed to document like normal reality, and it just never failed that it's always been a very crazy day or a crazy week or a crazy time. And I think in the end, I'm always really, really grateful, because that causes me to really find the small things in the day, the anchors of the day, the gratitude moments. And also when things are just, a big giant dumpster fire, but it allows it to have like a real life feel and touch to it, instead of it just feeling like kind of a highlight reel. So, I was just I felt all kind of ways that this was also a week in the life. I also made a very large order to Paper Haunts. Full moon in Scorpio was happening, so I made a few notes about that. And I was also starting to have a really big dip in energy about this time. It's just that phase of my cycle where it was time. I'm kind of going back to my old school to-do list, because even though things had been crazy for obviously a few days and I didn't really need them, it was a good time for me to have a to-do list again. And I always love kind of using the washi to theme the list instead of a heading. And then I used a cute sticker from my stash that was just kind of like this springy ghost. And I love that it says, how many sleeps till spooky season? Because I was already like chomping at the bit to book our vacation and keep it moving. This is when I watched Cyrano, or finished it rather. And then the next day, I drove the whole way home with no coffee. I talked about it in that actual weekly, but it was exhausting. And then I felt like I spent the whole day on the phone, and I actually used my sticker paper. So I use a matte photo sticker paper. I've called it out a few times. I'm trying to think if I have I don't think I have the package out. I think it's in one of my backpacks because I've been trying to keep it with me when I'm at work. So if I have time to go ahead and make some DIY stickers, I do so, whether it's for the 5-year or the Hobonichi. It really just depends on how many pages I need to make up and if I have the opportunity to even print a sticker. But I love this. It's a picture of my grocery basket, obviously, but I take the background out with the Photo Room app, and I love this because it has the blue milk in it. Like, I found the blue milk from True Moo, and I was really excited. I actually ended up using it as coffee creamer. So, because it was just really very sweet and loud. But it's a picture of me getting like eggs and spinach and lasagna stuff. I ended up making rigatoni. Again, I'm super sorry about the traffic. I can't do anything in the world about it. If I could, I would. But I will give you a little tip trick. If you are feeling like you're in the mood for lasagna and you do not have time to devote 2 hours, 2.5 to the project of it, make your sauce. Or if you just buy jarred sauce, whichever works for you, or pre-made sauce, take your sauce and get rigatoni noodles, and then mix up your ricotta mixture, so the egg and the ricotta and the cheese, and dollop it on top of the rigatoni covered with the sauce. Like, I usually mix it together in like a pan before I put it into the baking dish. And then I usually set it for like 350, 375. I put the dollops of ricotta, cover it with some cheese, and literally put it in the oven for maybe 20 minutes. And it's done, and it's great. You just let the edges get crispy. Perfect every time. So 10 out of 10 would recommend. You can even do it without the egg mixture. Double check research that that's long enough if it's mixed with egg though. But it'll get you the same taste profile much faster. So that's my pro cooking tip for you folks out there that love lasagna. The next few spreads. So I love this, like the dark florals. I'm so mad I should have picked like a purple or a different color, but it did come from the same sticker book. And just like kind of lots of brain dumping about what was happening, and, you know, again, writing fairly cryptic for all of that. But I started working on some Star Wars prep. Again, you'll notice like I was trying to find something every day, whether it was, you know, Halloween Horror Nights planning, whether it was, you know, doing some Project Life, watching a movie like Cyrano, like anything like that, to just kind of like take a little bit of a me time when I could, because at that point Jeff was pretty much staying with me every single day, which is not normally how it is. We normally have a few days apart from each other, and I also have some remote days, and that was getting ready to end. So it was just, I was really just trying to be quite cognizant, and also that was just a phase of my cycle where I'm really low energy. So I was really just trying to be situationally aware as best as I could so that I could be a really great support. Saturday, we had a pretty lazy morning. Then we went on a truck hunt, and then there was a meltdown. That's really all I got to say about it. I really like this spread because I love that I've got like kind of that morning washi. I've got, you know, driving all over town to find a truck, and then that down days washi. So I really feel like that page got broken up well with the headings. So big fan of that. I'm going to go ahead and like see if by moving that you can see what that is, but it's a Hades sticker, and it says feeling on fire today. I had a long run, so this was a 15-minute run, so this is the longest run I had in months, and I actually did it to the Peyton Parrish Most Magical Album, I think is what it's called, or something like that. It's like the Disney cover album he did, and I've done a run to it before, but it was a good one to run to because even though I don't love every single song there, it's definitely a great running album for sure. My lavender finally sprouted, which was funny because the day before I had texted Katie about her seeds, and I was like, my lavender won't sprout. And she's like, why don't you just go get some from Justin? He has like a massive bush. I had no idea. So I put, fun fact, Justin has a huge lavender bush, because I had no idea up at that point. But my lavender sprouted. It's doing fine. It's still got a long way to go before I can pop it outside, as does the rosemary. But we're making progress. I got a video filmed and then went to Jeff's and made a very Southern comfort home food meal. And took some pictures of the Ungalo and took some pictures of us in matching pajamas, which was funny because it was really just his white t-shirts and some boxers, which I have been lately really loving and stealing. So I'm glad I captured that, because that's definitely not normal. Normally I'm wearing my own pajamas that are matchy and stuff like that. But I thought that was really cute because it's like a picture of our legs and you can tell we match. The next day, my paper hunt order arrived. I had some work tasks that day, but I also moved into my new office. I took Jeff to get his truck, and I also was super excited because my Dolls Kill order had shipped at that point, which are pretty much means that I am like way ahead of Halloween Horror Nights planning than I've ever been in any year whatsoever. Like, I know what I'm wearing to Halloween Horror Nights. I know what I'm wearing to the tour on Saturday. I think I know what I'm wearing. I feel like there's some more days in there that I'm missing, but more or less like a good chunk of my wardrobe is covered, which I'm so jazzed about and hasn't happened in a long time. There's still a few things that I want to order, but I basically have the biggest jump on the game that I ever have, and that includes getting items for Taylor's goodie bag. So that makes me feel good that won't turn into last minute. I need to actually make a list for the beach and for Halloween Horror Nights to start chipping away at some of those items. I'm a big pre-planner, and I'm sure I sound insane to some people, but I am a really big advocate for not leaving things to the last minute when it comes to trip planning and purchasing, because that, to me, the farther in advance I get it taken care of, the less likely it is that it dips into my trip funds at the last minute. And then I'm not like, oh, I just feel like I spent a bunch of money to go on vacation. Like, it's all prepped and ready to go. So that was really nice. And because my paper hunt order got here, I thought it'd be really cute to use this candy corn crepe washi, which came in my haul, because it seemed very on brand for Dead Boy Detectives as well. Like, I could 100% believe in like creepy killer candy corns in that show. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it and you'll understand what I'm talking about. This is the very last day, and like I said, I spent it in the ER. What was funny is I walked in the door and my mom goes, well, this is certainly a fruit basket turnover, which was just so my mom. And leading with that sarcastic foot, she was totally fine. And I know we talked a little bit about this in the weekly spread, but she basically stayed at a 33 heart rate the entire time I was there. She was asymptomatic. She was completely fine, which is just wild. And even the doctors were just completely baffled. Basically, the wire between the upper part of her heart and the lower part of the heart was dead, so it wasn't communicating and regulating her beats per minute type of situation. So she had the pacemaker put in. They monitored it closely for several hours and took x-rays and cleared her, but they did want to keep her overnight just because during the surgery she did drop very low, and it was very important that the pacemaker worked and that her body didn't reject it in any way, and that she was under observation for all those reasons. But they finally gave me the reassurance that I could go home, and I live about, I would say, about 20-25 minutes away So I'm not really far, but by the time we got to that point in the day, because I had rushed over there, I really was not in a shape to stay overnight or prepared. So I was going to come home and shower and then go back out there, and they just reassured me that that really was not necessary. And it was fine. So I got to come home. But one of the funny things I said back to my mom was, oh, I have a washi for this. And it's really funny because I did. And she was like, do you really? I was quite mystified by the fact that I did. So I did not really think I was going to get to use this washi. So I was very shocked that it got some love. But I think it just kind of adds a little bit of levity to the whole situation. And then I made a DIY sticker of my mom smiling in her ER bed, because that's just exactly just the type of personality my mom and I are. And I love, I actually duplicated that so I can put it in my 5-year. But I hope you guys gained some inspiration. I'm going to go ahead and say what I've been saying in all these videos, which is thank you so much for your patience. As you know, uploads are still getting back on track. I can at least give you reassurance that even though today's video is coming up a little bit later than I would have liked, I actually have the next 2 Sundays already locked and loaded and uploaded. And ready for release. I know exactly what next Wednesday is going to be and have already started working on it, and have no doubt in my mind that I'm going to be able to film that within the next 48 hours. I'm starting to chip away with the 5 years so that we can get that content out. May should come out earlier than normal because I have stayed consistent. So we should be back on track. I can feel the routine coming back into play. But thank you guys so much for your support. It means so much to me. If you guys would consider liking and subscribing and commenting, just to kind of boost the video, I guess, viewing scope a little bit, or range. I would really appreciate it if you guys would consider contributing monetarily by using Super Thanks. I would really appreciate it as well. But give what you can, even if it's just a like and a heart. I really appreciate it, and love you guys so much for all your support. So until the next video, enjoy creating your own little wonderlands, and I'll see you next time. Bye.